Hello everyone, it's Shalia. Welcome. Part 2 of the Storybook Vale expansion just landed on Wednesday, and I was able to unlock Maleficent and Princess Aurora. I'm so excited. Now in this video, we are going to walk through Maleficent's quests and show you how to unlock her. Now I'm working on a full walkthrough for next week on how to unlock Aurora, so make sure you look forward to that because this storyline is really exciting. Alright, let's get started. When you first log into your game, if you already own the Storybook Vale expansion, you will see a new quest, a storm of stories. Now to start this quest, you will need to check your mailbox. When you do, you will have mail from the Lorekeeper, and there will be an invitation waiting for you to claim. Once claimed, take your invitation and head on over to the Vale and talk to the Lorekeeper. While talking to her, she tells you that things have changed around the Vale, and since you're not exactly sure what she means by this, you go through some more dialogue with her, and she mentions that the tapestry behind her has changed and that the tale it now tells spells disaster. She also tells you that you've earned a place in legend and myth by bringing Maleficent and Hades back together. Then she goes on and on about how the tapestry has changed over time, and now that it reflects disaster, she fears that the Storybook Vale is falling apart and only you can put it back together. She tells you that not only Maleficent has disappeared, but the other villagers in the Vale are also starting to disappear or be erased, and you must help them immediately. We need to find their anchor stories to keep them from being erased altogether. The first villager we need to find is Merida, and the two of you have a nice conversation about what might be happening. Merida tells you about these whirlwinds she's found, and that is how she started to disappear. So we're going to follow Merida up to the whirlwind on the bridge and talk to her again. While you are talking to her, a bunch of snippets fly out of the whirlwind, and now you have to catch these new shadowy bird snippets, and you have to catch 5 of them to be exact. Once you catch these with your royal net, a story page will be floating in the air on the bridge. You're going to pick up that story page and take it back to Merida. We're going to have a little conversation with her, and then she'll start feeling a little funny, and she starts remembering a story about her and her mother. The next minute, she's back to normal, and she now asks you to find more of those snippets when you get a chance and put her memory puzzle back together. There's optional stuff here too. The snippets are optional at this point. I would not worry about them. Just keep moving forward. And since Flynn is right here, we're going to talk to him next. We now tell Flynn that he is being erased as well, and you tell him there is a sickness falling over the Vale, and we have to find a part of him that is lost. And of course, he is now very curious what part of him is lost because he still has his arms, his legs, and his devastatingly handsome face. Now, after we convince him that there is a piece of his story missing, we need to find the next mysterious whirlwind in the Ever After. We also have, again, some optional tasks that we can do as well. And all the optional things can be done later as we collect more of the shadowy bird snippets, and we just decide we're going to just continue to help Flynn and Hades. Now we're going to go ahead and follow Flynn, and his whirlwind can be found at the trial area where we first unlocked him. This area tends to collect a lot of Inkies for some reason. If this does happen to you, you're going to have to clear them all away in this area, and then you can talk to Flynn. You'll want these removed so you can catch the new frog snippets that are going to pop out. And speaking of those darn snippets, immediately after talking to Flynn, you will have to catch 5 of the shadowy frog snippets with your royal net. And catching these ones took me longer than I'd like to admit. But once you finally catch all 5, pick up Flynn's story page and then go take it to Flynn. And he remembers being tied to a chair with a blonde girl with a frying pan watching him, and then remembers Rapunzel. And with that, he is now back to normal. And again, skipping the optional tasks, we are going to find Hades now and get him back to normal too. And then once we find Hades and he is disappearing as well, you can then have a chat with him, and then you can follow him up to Mount Olympus to the next whirlwind. This is going to go exactly the same way as the last two. So basically, once you talk to Hades at the whirlwind will disappear and a new shadowy demon snippets will pop out. You will have to catch 5 of them, and I find these demon snippets just to be a little bit easier to catch for some reason. And once you've caught the snippets, grab Hades' story page and give it to him. And once everyone is back to normal, you're going to head on back to the library and talk to the Lorekeeper again and let her know that Merida, Flynn, and Hades are all back to their old selves again. Then you talk about the new snippets that they have appeared in the Vale and wondered if they have something to do with the erasures. The Lorekeeper tells you to try to restore the magic to her pages and see what happens to know for sure. Now, in order to progress, we need to complete Maleficent's journey puzzle to find out what happened to Maleficent. We're going to interact with the Lorekeeper and tell her that you want to reorder stories. Maleficent's puzzle is the first one. Now, remember how all the characters' tasks kind of included additional optional duties of completing the Winnie the Pooh and the Snow White puzzles? But if you haven't been collecting extra of the new snippets, there would be no way you'd have enough to complete Maleficent's puzzle, which is required to continue continue Maleficent's storyline. So if you did the other puzzles first and you didn't collect more shadowy snippets, you are going to have to do that to unlock this specific puzzle because it's important to continue to the unwritten realms. And here is what the actual puzzle will look like when it's completed. Just wanted to give you an opportunity to take a picture of it so you can kind of match things up if you want to when you do it yourself. Now, once Maleficent's puzzle is back together, you will get a cool wooden dragon, and I don't know what else to call it. I'm just calling it a wooden dragon. And you can then back out of the puzzles and talk to the Lorekeeper again. When you talk to the Lorekeeper this time, she basically tells you that you will need to find the unwritten realms where stories are born and where they return once they are forgotten or erased. She also thinks that Maleficent is being scheduled for erasure and feels that it may just be a bureaucratic error. Basically, someone just screwed up and they weren't supposed to erase her, but that's what's happening. Now, to fix this, you need to find the unwritten realms and stop the erasure from happening right away. She also tells you that you can find the unwritten realms right here in the library in the same place you found the royal net. So we are going to go ahead and head on over to the picture on the floor, and we'll need to put it back together again, because remember we had to put that together the first time way back when. And you'll notice there are 3 mechanisms in front of this picture on the floor, and you'll need to turn the rings on the floor to recreate Maleficent's picture. Now to do this, you're just going to go over to the mechanisms, and from left to right, you want to turn the first one 3 times to get the inner circle to match up to the stationary circle in the dead center. Then you will turn the second one twice to match that circle up with the one you just did. And once you have those all lined up, you will turn the third one once. When you do this correctly and the picture of Maleficent is in order, a large book will pop out of the ground and you can now enter the unwritten realms through this huge book. And it's pretty cool looking if you want my opinion. I absolutely love this book. Now before you go back through the book, empty out your backpack of anything that doesn't give you energy. There are a lot of things to collect in the realms and you will have to drop things, and ask me how I know. I preach this all the time and I still forget to empty my backpack. So this is why I'm always reminding you all. Once you go through the book and you get to the unwritten realms, you will get this beautiful but dizzying cutscene. Now, the first thing we need to do is head up the steps into the waiting room. Now, try not to look over the edge. It made me completely dizzy while I was playing through the realms. So if you get motion sickness, just focus on the wall of the stairs while you walk past the flying clouds and the story paper I call debris. Now that we are in the waiting room, you'll need to talk to Maleficent, who is also fading away, and she is not happy to say the least. Apparently, she's been waiting for literally eons for the magic quill in the waiting room to call her number. And this is where you can notice that there is a now serving counter monument. This will be important in a little bit. Once we are done talking to Maleficent, we need then to go around the corner and talk to the first magic quill. You find out that they will not help us without us taking a number and waiting in line, or we can fill out 1,000 forms to expedite our request to stop the erasure of Maleficent. So we go ahead and decide to take a number, but unfortunately we are number 1,400,113, and the estimated wait time is 5 eons. That equals 5 billion years, by the way, and we don't have that kind of time. So at this point, the magic quill will tell us to take a seat in the waiting room until our number is called. When we go back over to the waiting room, we can either talk to Maleficent or wait for billions of years for the quill to call our number. Obviously, we are going to talk to Maleficent. And while talking to her, she complains about the quills, and then the two of you start thinking that maybe we can mess with the counter and fool the quill. Maleficent tells you that you can use her ticket, which has a number that is significantly lower than yours. However, she ripped it up into pieces, and we have to find them around the waiting room. Now, the pieces of the ticket are really easy to find. There's only 3. The first one is behind the magic quill's chair, and it is a number 5. The second one is over on the left side of the waiting room in the back corner between the 2 couches, and this one has a 9 and part of a 3 on it. And the third one is on the same side, but in the front corner, and this one has part of a 3 and a 7 on it. And now that you have the number, and it is 9375, you can go ahead and change the numbers on the counter to match Maleficent's ticket. And once the numbers match, you're just going to go back to the quill and hand them your ticket, because now they have just called your number. They will take your ripped ticket only because it's still legible, and they tell you that someone asked to have Maleficent erased, but won't tell you who. So the only way to get that answer is to fill out a form form. Of course, we're not doing that. So we're going to continue to go down through all of the dialogue with the quill, and then you'll find out that Maleficent's anchor moments are already in the process of being erased, and we have no time to spare. We need to head up to the review floor right away, which the quill unlocks for you. So we're going to head on up the steps to the review floor and talk to the second magic quill. While talking to the review quill, they tell you that Maleficent's anchor moment has already been sent to the processing room, and there is no way to stop the erasure. They mention you could venture into the processing room, but they do not recommend it. However, if you do want to go in, you simply have to hit the wheel near the quill with your royal net to summon the portal. It's that easy. So being the rebel that we are going to go ahead and hit that wheel with our net and venture into the next portal, because we're not afraid. We are now in our first mini game, and we need to solve a couple puzzles to find Maleficent's first anchor moment. You will need to clear away some inkies to get through to the other areas as well. There's really nothing to do in this first room other than remove the inky blocking the path. So go ahead and remove that and keep moving forward. Once you're in the main room, you will see a puzzle on the floor. You'll find the clues hidden around the area on the walls to complete the puzzle, and take note, a tile is missing from the middle of the puzzle. You'll also find dragon heads that need to be turned, and some are blocked by those little fire things that Hades taught us how to remove, and you should know how to remove those by now. But since I completed everything with Hades, I'm not sure if you have to complete all of Hades' mythic trials and quests to be able to enter the unwritten realms or not. Now, I would think you would have to have completed all of part 1, but I truly don't know. So if you know, let me know in the comments. I'd love to know if you need to have completed both Hades and Maleficent's quest lines before you can enter the unwritten realms. While you're walking around this area, you're going to go ahead and remove any obstacles in your way and collect materials and rewards from the green chests. Don't forget about those. Now, to get the hints for the puzzle on the floor, you'll have to use your royal net on the wheels around the area to reveal the 4 hints on the walls. Some will only give you a partial look at the hint, and then you have to keep hitting the wheel to see the rest of it. Some are just out there in the open, and I will say this took me a long time to run through, but I am going to show you the hints from the walls with my rendition of them, so you don't have to figure it out on your own. And here's my rendition. It's a real good thing I didn't go into drawing as a career. But hey, in my defense, it isn't pretty, but it is accurate, okay? It is accurate. Now, I just want you to know that the skull with the eye patch is not an actual option. So in all actuality, you could replace the skull with a question mark, since it's basically unknown, just like the question marks. This will make it a little easier on you if you'd rather figure the puzzle out on your own instead of looking when I actually show you the finished puzzle. And don't worry, for those of you that just want to see the finished puzzle, I am going to do that here in a minute. You'll also want to turn the dragon heads as you find them as well. They just need to be turned so that they are right side up, and there are 3 of them. And as long as you can remove the obstacles in front of them, you'll be able to complete this task rather easily and quickly. Now, once you've turned all the dragon heads, the door with the dragon head above it will open, and you can now enter that area and find the missing tile for the puzzle. Just go down the steps to the pool and fish out the missing tile. And once you have that fished out, you're going to just go back up to the puzzle and place the tile in its spot right dead smack in the middle of the puzzle. And now that you have all the clues and you've got that missing piece of the puzzle, you can now finish it, and the door behind it will open and reveal another area. Now, here's the completed puzzle for those of you that do want to see it. If you don't want to see it, you should be closing your eyes, okay? Head on down the stairs to find Princess Aurora's baby crib and grab Maleficent's first anchor moment, and then you'll just need to go back to the waiting room and give it to Maleficent. And when you do give it back to her, she remembers a time when she gave her gift to Aurora, and after she's done remembering, she starts to gain her strength back. Now, she tells us she's not fully recovered yet, and we still need to find 2 more anchor moments. Now we need to venture up to the 2nd floor and talk to the 3rd magic quill. You're just going to go up the steps to the review floor, and you'll now notice the gate that was closed is now open. So go up those steps and talk to the quill near the next gate. Now, you tell them you need to get inside the processing room, but they tell you there's no way because the conveyor system is jammed. They tell you that the system can be restarted, but only by a supervisor. The supervisor is the only one who has authority to do that. And apparently the quill doesn't even know who a supervisor is, because when the forgetting happened, that information was lost. So you decide just to tell them that you are a supervisor, and now they're going to test you with some questions. There is a hint to these questions to the far right of the quill on the little pedestal, but I'm going to give you the correct answers. The first question is, how many seats are in the waiting room? And that answer is 44. The second question is, how many magic quills are currently on duty in the unwritten realms, including myself? Now, I answered 3, but if you look at the hint on the pedestal, it kind of says like we hired 2 more in addition to the 2 that are currently on duty. And I was like, something's not right here. Something's not mathing. But anyway, the answer to that is truly 3. And then the last question is, which floor of the reviews and processing department are we on right now? That answer is floor 2. Now, once you get all the answers correct, you will receive a wheel that will need to be placed on the mechanism beside you that is missing the wheel. And once placed, you will be able to turn the 3 wheels with your royal net and unjam the conveyor. So this one's actually really easy. Basically, you want to hit the first wheel on the right once so that the arrows are facing to the left and right. This wheel controls the middle barrel as well as the right barrel. You only need to turn the wheel once and the right and middle barrels will be turned correctly. They will both have their arrows facing left and right, and that's exactly the way you want them. Now, do not touch that middle wheel. It is already in place, and if you move it, it will also change the barrel on the left of it because it controls both barrels. So if you do move it, just spin it until its arrows are facing left and right again. Now, if you didn't touch the middle wheel, the arrows on the last barrel on the left, closest to the gate, just needs to be turned once so that the one arrow is pointing to the right and the other arrow is pointing up. This last wheel only controls the barrel on the far left, so you will not disturb any other barrel placement by spinning this one too many times. Now, once you get it right, the conveyor will start working again, and you can now go through the gate and enter the portal to find Maleficent's second anchor moment. Now, in this area, you do not have to mess with any of the armored guards. Just pull out your shovel and remove the broken teacups blocking the hallway, and then remove the inkies. Now, the clue tells you that you have to raise Princess Aurora's finger to match up with the spinning wheel. To do this, go up the stairs beside the statue of Aurora and remove the obstacles. Take note of the contraption behind the statue. We will need to find the missing paddle wheel is what I'm calling it, but that's actually not what it's called. It's called a panel, and we're going to need that to raise her up. Now we're going to continue down the steps behind her, remove the inkies, and go down the steps and then up the next set of steps. Remove all the obstacles blocking the way to get to the other side. Once on the other side of this area, go ahead and grab the iron ingots out of the green chest, and then pull out your axe and remove the stones surrounding the water contraption. And once you have all of the obstacles removed, go ahead and pull out your watering can and water the paddle or the panel. This will lower the platform in front of it. Now head on over to the other side and use your watering can on that lever, and then that lever will lower the other platform. Now you've basically created really big steps. Follow the big steps up to the platform and grab the missing paddle wheel or panel, and then go back to Aurora's statue and place the missing panel on the contraption, and then water it to raise her statue up. Now go over to the other side where the spinning wheel is and water that level as well. Now the big door in the middle will open, and once you remove the inkies in the way, you can now grab Maleficent's second anchor moment. Just go back to the waiting room via the steps in front of the gate that are now available for you to use, and then hit the lever to put the bridge down, and you are now easily back to the waiting room. You're going to give that second anchor moment to Maleficent, and she remembers luring Aurora to the spinning wheel and brags about it being her greatest moment. Oh brother. Well, anyway, let her talk a little bit, and after she talks about that memory for a while, she will now almost be back to normal. We just need to find one more anchor moment, and then she'll be back to her evil self. To find this last one, we need to go back across the bridge and back up the stairs and go through the gate on the left that is now open. Once we're the whole way to the top, we need to use our net on the wheel to unlock the last portal. And oh no, that didn't work as planned. It looks like it fell off the face of the veil. We now need to go talk to the magic quill near the void on the second floor. And basically, it's the area where the portal fell off. You tell the quill that you're here to stop the erasure of Maleficent, and she tells you it's too late, that her story has already been thrown into the void. Now you can either jump into the void or fill out hundreds of pages of paperwork, and guess what we decide to do? Yep, we're just gonna jump on into the void. Well, not exactly. The quill does recommend a strong rope be cast into the void. So at this point, we're going to go over to the void and pull out your fishing rod. Don't go looking for the rope because there isn't one. And once you've fished up the portal, go ahead and enter it. Now from here, you're going to remove the inkies blocking your path forward, and then head up the steps and remove the rocks in front of the next set of steps. You don't have to remove them all unless you want to. You only need to break one of them to get through. Now go down the steps and read the hint on the pedestal. You basically just have to move the weapon carts out of the way so the knight can make its way to the dragon. The first puzzle is pretty easy. Actually, they're all pretty easy. The first puzzle though, you're just gonna move both carts once. Then once you've done that, just go give your knight a little push and he will go on to the the next puzzle. Now, looking at the puzzle from the knight's point of view, you're going to move the small cart once towards the left side of the knight or towards the other wall. Then you're going to move the other small cart once towards the knight, and then move the large cart once towards the right side of the knight or towards the other wall opposite the wall we push the other small cart towards. Hopefully that made sense. If not, obviously you could just watch me do it. Now you're just going to give your knight a little push again, and he will go on to the third puzzle. Now you're going to push all the small carts towards the knight, then push both of the large carts towards the small carts by pushing them once each. Make sure you collect all the goodies along the way too. I always forget to do this. That is why I'm going to remind you. Once you have cleared that path, go ahead and give your knight another little push. Your knight can't go any further, but now the coast is clear for you to go up the steps and grab Maleficent's last anchor moment. Just go grab that moment and then go all the way back to where you came in and exit this realm. You'll now need to talk to the quill blocking the path on the second floor. This quill delivers a dire message to you from the Lorekeeper. She is begging you not to give Maleficent her last anchor moment back. She's insisting that Maleficent is responsible for all of the problems going on across the Vale. She says there is only one way to save the Vale, and that is by casting Maleficent's last anchor moment into the void and allow her to be erased. Of course, we are not about to let all of that hard work go to waste by throwing out that last moment, so we do what anyone would do in this situation. We go talk to Maleficent and tell her all about it. And as we talked to Maleficent, we decided it's in our best interest to go ahead and give her back her last anchor moment. But this isn't going to end well, and we didn't really have a choice though, did we? Doesn't matter what we would have answered here, it would have ended this way. We have a little more dialogue with Maleficent, and then we see a cutscene where she receives all of her power back and becomes her old evil self again. Now, after this occurs, we are taken back to the library and now need to face the Lorekeeper. And of course, she is terribly angry at us and now blames you for all the problems in the Vale. She's telling us that our presence in Dreamlight Valley is causing the Never After and tells us that we may have to leave Dreamlight Valley forever to save it. Of course, we say never. We're never leaving Dreamlight Valley. Now, she's going to do a little more research, but in the meantime, she asks that we keep a close eye on Maleficent to make sure she isn't causing any trouble. So once you're done talking to the Lorekeeper, Maleficent will now join your valley. And now that Maleficent is a permanent resident of the valley and the Vale, talk to her one last time to complete the quest. She will tell you that she doesn't trust the Lorekeeper and that you need to find Princess Aurora, and tells you that the last time she saw her was with Flynn Rider. Then she leaves us to figure out what to do next, and the Unwritten Realms Maleficent's Demise quest is complete. This storyline is getting really, really good, and we're going to dive right into it next week when we unlock Princess Aurora. So thanks so much for sticking around. I know these realm tutorials are long, and I appreciate those of you who have stuck through it, especially to the end, and I love you all so much. Now, don't forget to like and subscribe, and most of all, don't forget to be kind. And until next time, everyone, bye!